Drums are the foundation of many songs, particularly in pop, rock, and country music. So when you're recording and mixing, it's really important to get these right, because ultimately this is what's going to drive your song. And if they sound weak, they sound lackluster, then people are just going to skip, they're going to turn off, they're going to switch to the next song. And in this video, I want to talk you through my philosophy when it comes to recording and mixing drums. And I'm reluctant to use the word mistake, because there are no mistakes when it comes to recording and mixing. If it sounds good, it is good. But there's one thing in particular that more inexperienced producers and mixers do when it comes to drums, that if you did things a little bit differently, it could really, really help your drums to sound bigger, for them to slap more, and for them to just have impact in the mix. So what exactly am I talking about here? Well, for me, probably about 80 to 90% of the overall drum sound comes from the overheads and the rooms. That's just 2 tracks and potentially 4 mics. Stereo pair of overheads, stereo pair of rooms. Sometimes you might use different mics at different distances in the room, and that's fine, but ultimately it usually gets comped down to a stereo pair anyway. But ultimately, the overheads and the room give that overall picture of the drums. So when I'm recording a drum kit, I'm going to position the overheads and the rooms. I'm going to be meticulous about how they sound, the mics that I use, the position of them, because I want that to have a really well-balanced image of the kit. Everything else, the close mics, the spot mics, they are just there to supplement the overheads and the rooms. Take a listen to the drums in this mix and I'll show you exactly what I mean and how much of the sound is coming from the overheads and the rooms.
Won't you save me, save me
now, very often, many people will see the overheads as the cymbals, and they'll get an EQ and filter all the low end out of the overheads and just use them as cymbal mics. What I do could not be further from that. The overheads are kind of like the closer in overall kit. I want some thump and low end from the kick. I want some crack and sizzle from the snare. I want to capture all of the toms, the body of the toms. I want to capture the stereo image, and I also want to capture the cymbals as well. So if I show you the processing I've got on the overheads, this is what it looks like for this song. I've got a bunch of EQs, 3 in total. The first one is just a high and low shelf. We're adding 6 dB of highs, and we're adding 8 dB of lows. We're then going into a Neve 1073 EQ, and again you can see we're boosting a chunk of 60. That's going to really bring out the kick, but then we are filtering up to 50, so it's kind of like a resonant high pass. That's going to filter out just the noise and the rumble, but that boost at 60 is going to bring out the thump that we want from the kick. We've then got a boost at 4.8, 3 dB, and we've just got a little bit of a high shelf as well. Those are going to help the cymbals and the snare to add some crack. We've then got this custom series EQ adding more 12K high shelf. The Neve is quite brutal, whereas this one is a little bit gentler. So we're adding a little bit using the Neve, but then we're adding the extra stuff using the custom series that's a little bit more forgiving. I then got this final plugin, which is Revival. This is just saturation. We're adding a little bit of shimmer, which I felt just helped the cymbals and the snare just to sparkle just a little bit more. So let's solo these overheads now and you can hear what that sounds like. As you can hear, it's a really well-balanced kind of full sound to the drums. If I take all of this stuff off, you can hear the difference. And back on. Now for me, that is a much better overhead sound rather than just filtering all of the lows out and then having to rely on samples and all the other stuff for your kick and snare. That is a really great drum sound, and we can now use those spot mics to enhance it. And it's the exact same story when it comes to the room mics as well. I want these to have a overall really nice, well-balanced picture of the drums. There's going to be more ambience in this because they're set further back, and that's fine. We're going to blend that with the overheads, but I want a full sound. I'm not just going to filter all the lows out. I'm going to use everything that's there. Let's take a listen to what these rooms sound like. Again, we'll take a look at what EQ we're doing. It's just a high and a low shelf. We are compressing a little bit. I just want to bring some of that ambience out. This is a big, epic, sort of anthemic pop rock song. So we want the space to sound really big, and the compressor's just helping to do that. Let's turn this off and we can hear the difference. And back on. Compressor's not actually doing much. A lot of people will totally crush the room mics, and that's fine if that's the sound that you're going for, but not here. That's not what we need. Just taking 3 to 5 dB off is just helping to tame some of those cymbal hits and keep the snare in check as well. Now let's put both the room and the overheads together. This is my 80-90% drum sound. Take a listen. That sounds incredible, and it is just coming from those 2 tracks. Now, obviously, in the mix, that's not going to cut it. We are obviously going to need more from our drum sound, but that's fine. That's where we can start to use those spot mics to supplement what's missing. So there's not enough attack from the kick, so that's fine. We can use the kick in, and we can use the kick sample to give us more attack in the kick. So let's add that in. We also need the snare to be a bit fatter, so we can EQ the snare to have more lows and low mids. We can add some samples that are giving us that. So let's put that in. And we could also use a little bit more body from the toms. So on the close tom mics, that's what we're going to EQ in. Let's put that in. But we take all that away and we just go back to those 2 tracks, the overheads and the rooms. A huge part of the drum sound is those overheads and rooms. And for me, those are absolutely crucial to get right. And it really doesn't matter whether you're recording live drums or you're using virtual MIDI drums like Superior Drummer 3 or Stephen Slate drums. The example that you've just heard, that was a live kit recorded in a studio. This one, however, is Superior Drummer 3, and it is the exact same. I'm going to record and program the drums in. I'm then going to split them out as if they were recorded live. So we're going to have our overhead tracks, we're going to have our rooms, we're going to have all of the different kick mics, kick in, kick out, kick sub, snare top, snare bottom, and then we can process it and we can mix it in exactly the same way. Now just solo the overheads. So this is a stereo overhead. We did have a mono overhead on this one. And then we've got the room. Again, the vast majority of the drum sound is coming from just those 2 or 3 tracks, the overheads and the rooms, and then using the spot mics to supplement whatever's missing from that picture. Now, if you're a songwriter, you're in a band, if you're releasing music in any way, shape or form, then likely one of the biggest struggles you have is getting access to opportunities that are going to help you to get your music heard by thousands, if not millions of people. Well, one of the most important things that you can have that's going to help you get access to those opportunities is your EPK. Your EPK is your electronic press kit. It's your digital CV, if you like, that you're going to create and you're going to send out to anyone that you want to feature your music. So maybe it's radio pluggers, radio DJs. Maybe you're going to send it to promoters to get on some festival slots or bigger and better shows. Maybe you're going to send it out to Spotify playlists or bloggers that can feature you on their channel and on their platforms. However, if your EPK sucks, then anybody that you send it to, they're going to open it, they're going to see this really poorly designed, unprofessional EPK that doesn't contain the information that they need. They're just going to delete your email or ignore it. They're not even going to listen to your music. A great EPK is that vital first step. It's that foot in the door to just getting your music heard. And then hopefully your music can do the talking, and they will get back to you, and you can get access to all of these opportunities that you've previously been missing out on. Now, to help with this, I've created an EPK template that you can use to create a stunning, professional looking EPK that, most importantly, contains all of the relevant information that needs to be on there. It's super quick and simple to use. You can have this up and ready to go within minutes. And best of all, it's completely free. The link's in the description below. Go and check it out.